creative studies.
Just because we can doesn't mean we should. An interesting thing to probably look at this past year as we almost move into 2026 is all the things that people have told us for years would work are no longer really working. We have always taken the approach that use this playbook, use these best practices, use these guidelines. If life were only that simple. What we have ahead of us, I think, in 2026 is something that has not really been on the tips of many people's tongues, and that is a return or a revenge of the humanities. For the last 30 years that I can recall, if you said to someone, I majored in philosophy, I majored in literature, I majored in a foreign language, or I majored in the arts, you were met with discontent. Well, what do you mean you're majored in one of those things? That provides absolutely no value to humanity. And yet here we are in 2026, where in a world overwashed in digital, overprogrammed with machine learning, the humanities might be one of the best, let's say, badges of honor or weapons, for lack of a better term, to have in our arsenal. The big thing we'll have to look at in 2026 is how we get back to community, sort of this return to the commons. We always looked at the commons as a tragedy. If you allow everyone to use it, well, there will be a few people that abuse it. And yet, over the last 40 years, the people who've abused it the most, multinational corporations, who've really used pretty much whatever they've wanted to gain an edge on everyone else. 2026 might flip that script. We might be at the end of the corporate business era. We might be at the beginning or remix of the creative economy, a merchant economy, an economy in which if you are entrepreneurial and you have a small business idea and that provides value to a small amount of other people, well, you might go somewhere with that. Whereas if you're a large enterprise and a big infrastructure and you move slowly, well, you're almost a sitting target. 26 will be the first year in the post-influencer era. No longer can you grift your way to a heavyweight title or say that you know more than a scientist when it comes to vaccines. I think people are tired of all of the grifters, people who say things like, I know it all, people who basically go with the approach of, hey, I learned that, I applied that, that's the way to do things. The future really is for those who are best able to adapt by having a philosophy which is learn, unlearn, and relearn, to quote the late Alvin Toffler. And yet it's very difficult in this era of still trying to understand machine learning, large language models, and AI, or whatever we're calling it, to admit to other people that you don't know what's going on, that you're not an expert, that you're still trying to figure things out. Lord forbid that you maybe admit that you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's up, because, well, that might get you into a lot of trouble, and it might sort of cast you aside in this layoff happy world that we've been in. But this is the best approach in 2026 moving forward. If there are a few things we need to relearn in terms of embracing the common good, it's probably the following. First, most of us are lonely. We're really looking for human connection. I said hello to someone the other day at the gym, and I ran into them a few days later, and they said, wow, I really enjoyed that conversation. I was hoping I'd run into you again so we could sort of continue that. And of course, when I asked them, why is that the case? They said, well, I live by myself. I eat alone. I only talk to my coworkers. And that's only 2 days a week when I'm in the office. The other 3 days, it's through Zoom. And it can be really lonely and alienating in terms of connecting with other people. The other thing is, nobody has the answers for what lies ahead in the future. You have had such an overemphasis on trend predictions and what's next or what's going to buzz or what's hot that we don't realize that we have no control over any of that. Anything can happen. The world is not really logical when it comes down to thinking about how we fit into the larger universe. Another big unlearning is for all of the people who say you're going to be left behind. Maybe it's okay if you're left behind so you can actually chart an alternate course, find something opposite of what everyone else is doing. Nobody said you have to go by the rule book. In fact, we're really in a world where there are no rules anymore. You sort of have to make it up as you go. The final thing to think about is really, in terms of unlearning, is you can't really stay on the hamster wheel and not be physically, mentally, or emotionally exhausted. Time wealth is now making people richer and smarter and more curious than monetary wealth. Sure, you need money to pay your rent, pay your mortgage, buy some things, but time wealth allows you to actually think larger on what do you want to do while you're here? And if you're lucky, to maybe eke out 90 to 100 years on the planet Earth. I'm Jeffrey Colon for Creative Studies. Happy 2026 to you, and here's to a healthy new year.
Creative Studies.